Okay, so my name is Curtis Miles. I am the blockchain technical lead for Canada, and I've been working with lots of different organizations over the past little while on their blockchain strategies and doing blockchain implementations. And one of the things that I consistently find is that people sometimes have a difficult time kind of wrapping their heads around what this blockchain thing is, right? Everybody's read the articles that tell them that blockchain is going to change the world, but those same articles never tell you how blockchain is going to change the world, which can sometimes be a little bit frustrating. And so what I wanted to do is take you through a little demonstration that I built that hopefully makes some of these concepts a little bit tangible, puts them in the context of the Hyperledger Fabric open source project, which is the blockchain platform that IBM is fundamentally contributing to, and that we think has a lot of great capabilities in terms of blockchain for business. And do this in a little bit of a fun and interactive way. So I'm actually going to ask for your participation as we go through this and have you kind of take out your phones. And so if you want to do that right now, go ahead and take your phones out, and you'll see at the top of the screen here, hopefully you can see this, you've got a link. So I want you on your phones, on your web browser for your phone, to go to ibm.biz/blockchain-coffee. And so this might take you a few minutes, a few seconds for that to come up. But when it does, you should see a screen that looks like this, right? So this is going to be your window into this demonstration, this kind of interactive demonstration that we have. So go ahead and do that. Get that loaded. Don't go too far on that. So don't take your time. I want to walk you through kind of what you're going to see on the experience there, so that makes sense. But at least bring that up. And let me introduce you to what you're looking at right now. So this is a functional blockchain network, a functional business network, right? And the whole premise here is that we are going to be buying and selling coffee beans. And so if you look at this picture, we actually have a few different types of circles on here. We have some green circles, which represent our coffee bean growers. So these are the folks that are harvesting the coffee beans and then selling them. And the brown circles represent coffee bean buyers. And so these are the organizations that are purchasing coffee beans, and that, think of like a Starbucks or your favorite large coffee chain that's buying beans and converting those coffee beans into cups of coffee for your customers. Now, all of these airplanes that are moving between the growers and the buyers are shipments of coffee that have been purchased and that are being delivered to that destination. And so lots of interesting things happening already on the network. These robot players that you see here are just kind of designed to produce some market liquidity, so we've always got somebody that's buying and selling coffee. So somebody will always, if your terms and conditions are reasonable, then somebody will pick up your deal and you'll be able to do some business on this network. Down at the bottom, we actually have our leaderboard. So we're going to see how well we can all do together, or each of us individually here as we start to play in terms of getting to be the leading buyer. And you can see that Justine's already in the lead here as our leading grower with $500 of profit. Okay, we'll talk a lot more about what's going on and on kind of all the blockchain pieces that are happening behind the scenes as we go through this. But if you've got this screen up on your phone and you click on Begin, you have the opportunity to pick whether you want to be a buyer or a grower just by swiping in the middle of your app here. So I'm going to pick a buyer, and the one thing that I'll point out right away is you can change what you look like on the map by choosing, by tapping on this picture. So if you tap on the picture, you get to pick who you look like or who you want to look like, and this will determine what your face is, how your face shows up on our map. So I like this guy with the hat, so I'm going to pick him, and then you can name your coffee company. So I'm going to be Kurt's Coffee, and hopefully you can follow along with this on your own machine. And try to pick a country that nobody else is in, because if you have more than one person in a country right now, you'll kind of overlap each other. You only see one person. So I'm actually going to pick Russia here because it's top right-hand corner, so I know that I'll be visible. If I can find it here, there's my Russia. Okay, so click on OK. And now as I tap on Get Started, there I am on the business network. I can see some other folks popping up here, some different buyers and growers that are showing up in their different countries. And so when you join this network, what you have in your app, as you can see, is you start out with a little bit of profit, $100, and you start out with some inventory. And you have 3 different qualities of coffee beans. You've got good coffee beans, you've got better coffee beans, and then you've got your best coffee beans. You can see the level of your inventory across each of these beans. Now, I, as a buyer, make my money, like I said, by taking these beans that I have in my inventory and converting them into cups of coffee to sell to my customers. And I do that by clicking on this, tapping on this little cup. And as I do that, I play a little bit of a game to see how efficient I am going to be at brewing these beans into my cups of coffee. And so if I move try to stop that circle right on the middle. Hey, look at that, I was successful. I'm going to brew with high efficiency. And so when I tap done, here's my brewing cycle happening, and I have just converted 50 units of my coffee beans into profit. So my profit jumped all the way up to $750 because I was brewing my best quality coffee beans, which I can sell for more per cup than I can for my lower quality coffee beans. And I did that very efficiently, so I had, a multiplier effect in there based on how well I did at the game. But now I've got a problem, right? Because now I am out of my best quality coffee beans, and I need to replenish my inventory. And so this is where we start to get into some of the interesting blockchain pieces, because I need to be part of a business network that connects me with coffee bean growers who are willing to sell their coffee beans to me at terms and conditions that are favorable to me. Now, if I think about how this would work without blockchain, I would have to find a coffee bean supplier. Maybe there's somebody that I've worked with in the past or whatever, but I'd have to find my coffee bean supplier. We'd have to have a negotiation about price, a negotiation about quality and quantity, and I'd be saying things like, I really want your best quality coffee beans, and they would tell me, oh, yes, sir, we guarantee we'll give you our best quality coffee beans. But I really don't have any guarantee because I don't particularly trust the person that's going to be, selling me these coffee beans. And so there's a lot of distrust in this network overall. But with blockchain, we can use smart contracts to codify the business terms and conditions that we are going to use to be able to trade coffee back and forth. So now I can increase the level of trust between the participants in this business network. So to create one of those smart contracts to replenish my stock of best quality coffee beans, I come into my smart contracts part of my mobile app here. I tap on the plus, and I can set up the terms of this smart contract. So in this case, I want to buy best quality coffee beans. I can pick my quantity. Let's say I'll buy 40 units of these quality coffee beans, and I can set my price range that I am willing to pay. So let's say these are good quality, the best quality coffee beans. So let's say I'm willing to pay up to $6 per unit. And so now when I tap on submit, my smart contract has been registered in that network, and now the blockchain logic is going to automatically try to match me with a grower who accepts my terms and conditions. And so lo and behold, grower bot 1 has accepted my terms. He's sending me 40 units, which is what I requested, of best quality at $5.50 a unit, lower than my max price, obviously higher than his min price. And you can see I'm tracking the status even of the shipment of that coffee shipment coming all the way to me, and we can see the airplanes on my mobile app match kind of what we're seeing on that on the overall map. And so now I've got recorded in history, in my purchase history, the fact that that deal has been complete, and in fact I'm now doing my next deal with the next participant that is selling me coffee. And so my profit is going down because I'm paying for the coffee, and my quantity is going up as I receive each of these shipments. So as my second shipment comes in, I now have 80, and I can continue to brew more coffee now and continue to keep my profit going up. And I know that the smart contract is now continually out there, and if I want to withdraw it at any point because I've got enough quality, best quality coffee, I can do that. But otherwise, it'll keep looking for matches for me according to the terms and conditions that I've specified. So if we come back to our map, we obviously have lots of interesting things going on here. We've got lots of deals in progress throughout the world. We've got lots of connections that are being made between buyers and sellers. And if we look at some of the information that's going on that's being captured in the right-hand side here, which is basically represents our shared ledger for the network, there's a lot of really interesting details here, right? So, if you can look before it all kind of refreshes and moves down because we've got so much activity happening, we can see that there is, a lot of data in here that would really be considered quite sensitive. And the data is actually related to all the different things that are going on this network. So this view of the shared ledger is kind of what you would think of as if there was a global coffee regulator, right? Somebody who has visibility and is designed to have visibility to all kinds of different participants inside of to all the different participants in the business network, maybe to make sure that everybody's following the rules. Because if you think about how a regulator in this type of circumstance would have to work without blockchain, they're basically collecting all of the records, maybe reports from each of these different participants at the end of the month, doing some forensic analysis to untangle the spaghetti mess of transactions that have happened and hope that they can figure out whether somebody's trying to hide something, right, to make their books look better than they should, or, whatever their motivation would be. But in this case, with every activity that's going on this business network being captured in our shared ledger, we have that single centralized place that single distributed place that is tamper-proof, right, according to the properties of blockchain. No individual participant on this business network can come in and change the records in this network and expect everybody else to agree, right? So we have the consensus that builds around the content that's going into this ledger so that the global coffee regulator, among other folks, might be able to do this type of analysis that they need and be able to trust the data that's happening on the ledger. But of course, like I said before, there's no trust in this business network, which means that, you know, if I look at the information that's in here, I can see, for example, that, you know, deals are being struck between participants and how many units and the price that they're willing to pay. That's probably not information that you want your competitors to have about the deals that you're doing. And so, you know, we have to think about what privacy looks like here. So if I just click one participant, I'll choose myself here, we can see all the things that are in the ledger that have to do with me. And this basically represents my view, the view that I would have, the permission that I have to be able to see information in this shared ledger. And so how it basically works is when you join this business network, you get handed your bundle of certificates. You know, you go through the onboarding process. So there's a different onboarding process for every business network, and there's lots of business terms and conditions that you have to meet before you kind of get accepted into this network. But once you get granted acceptance into this network, you get handed your bundle of certificates, give you the capability to decrypt and look at certain fields and certain pieces of information inside of the shared ledger. And so as a result of that, we can see the view of the ledger that I've got here as an individual, and I have the ability to see only the records that have to do with me, right? So deals that I have done in the past, times when I have harvested coffee should be showing up in here. So for example, we can see every time I've harvested coffee, how efficient I was at that. And in fact, if we select one of the growers here, we can see the quality of coffee that grower has harvested so that we can track that back all the way back to the individual. But of course, you know, people have only the visibility into their own particular records onto this blockchain business network from a security and privacy perspective. Okay, so far, you know, we've had lots of coffee being traded, and there's still coffee being traded. And we can see that we've got our number of units of beans is 21,200. We've had already 466 shipments, 5,400 cups of coffee have been brewed. So we're doing pretty well, not too bad. But one of the interesting things about blockchain is actually that it enables new business models to start to emerge, and it enables you to be able to do things that you couldn't do before. So one of the things I'm going to do here is let me flip this switch, and I'm going to introduce some new types of participant into our business network. So as I do that, you'll notice a few things. First of all, on our ledger, we record the fact that we now have the entrance of these new participants, so that information is available and visible for people to be able to see. And you'll notice these new circles kind of show up in different places around the world. So these circles represent certification authorities. So these are organizations that are willing to come in and analyze the practices of either growers or buyers to be able to give them their seal of approval to say that they have met certain standards, for example. So this might be an organization on the grower side, like a Greenpeace, that would be coming in and that would be evaluating whether or not that particular grower is adhering to the latest environmental standards. This might be, you might be determining whether or not that grower is selling fair trade coffee, right? And so what this allows the grower to do is apply for the certification, and as a result of applying for the certification, put their hand up and say, hey, everybody, come buy coffee from me. I am environmentally certified, or I am certified to sell fair trade coffee, but you don't have to take my word for it, right? You can look and you can see that Greenpeace or whatever the organization is has stamped it with their seal of approval on this ledger in a way that is tamper-proof and immutable, that I would not have the ability to change myself. And so you can trust that this coffee is coming from a place that is, guaranteed to be what it says it is. Now, on the buyer side, right, so these are folks, again, that are converting beans into cups of coffee for customers. Certification actually looks like having a food critic come in and evaluate whether or not, you've got great tasting coffee. So for example, kind of we think of the critical acclaim. So here on mine, when I flip that switch up on my mobile app, pops this new section. And so I can apply for my best in the country certification. And if I achieve this certification, it actually allows me to sell my coffee for $1 more per cup, right? So I am incented to be able to sell this coffee and achieve this certification because it's going to help my bottom line. So let me come here and say, attempt certification is going to cost me $20 every time I want to attempt my certification. And in fact, every attempt that I make is going to be recorded onto the ledger as well, which is also interesting, right? Since you can be able to think about how many times it takes somebody to achieve their certification. And the game here is that you have to find some matching squares. And so this is kind of the element of surprise. So here I didn't achieve my certification. My certification attempt was unsuccessful. So when I hit done, we should actually see popping up on the ledger, there it is, the fact that I have actually tried to achieve my certification and I didn't get it. So I've got $40 of profit left. So let me come in here and I'm going to hopefully get my certification at some point. There we go. I got my certification on my second try. Congratulations on my new certification. I get my seal of approval, and there on the ledger is that record that records the fact that I have now got the best coffee in the country as per this particular certification authority. And so I can, with confidence now, sell this to my customers and talk about the great quality coffee that I've got. Now, I've got a lot of inventory, so while I'm here, I just want to brew a little bit more coffee because I can see that my profit is down. I don't want to be too low here. So as we get up, I've just brewed some coffee, and now you'll notice when I brewed it that time, I made more money again because I have achieved my certification. So my dollar per, my amount per cup has gone up. I brewed it in a highly efficient way, so I kind of achieved the maximum there. And if I went ahead and applied for my world-class certification, I'd be able to boost my sales price even more, kind of giving me lots of capability to make lots of money here based on the Blockchain Business Network. But at the end of the day, what we've seen is a whole bunch of things kind of all at once as part of this demonstration, and hopefully you've had a chance to kind of buy and sell some coffee. I still see lots of deals being made. Fundamentally, what this is all about is a functioning business network that reduces the friction between buyers and sellers by elevating the overall level of trust in this business network, because we are relying on the execution of the smart contract that we have been transparently introduced to. Now, we didn't see this so much in the demo because we onboarded very quickly, but in the real world scenario, this would mean when you join this business network, you get visibility into the smart contracts that you are agreeing to abide by. And in fact, it's impossible for you to do business in this business network without using these smart contracts. And so you'd have visibility, transparency into the business rules and the business logic by which the transactions are completed. And like I said, we're overall elevating this level of trust, giving visibility to the regulators and other participants like that need it, while still being able to provide the privacy and the specific views into the ledger that are relevant for each of the different participants. And so hopefully that's a helpful introduction into the world of blockchain. Hopefully you've had some fun playing along. And yeah, happy blockchaining.